What's up, everybody? So I'm gonna just get right to it. This video is about DMARC, SPF, and DKIM. I don't think you'll have 100% understanding of it, but it should help everyone get, the basic idea of how this all works. And if I'm wrong on any of this, please let me know. So as we all know, Google and Yahoo have sender requirements, and that's making sure you have the minimum policy of equals none. And then I have the article here in the description for you. And then I'll also have here, see if I can get to it here. So this is basically what needs to be in your DNS. This is an example domain. So goodcoffee.com, and then you have your records. So this is the DMARC record, it's a text record. And this record right here is basically the minimum that's required by Google and Yahoo. With the policy of none. There is policy of quarantine, policy of reject, and I'll go over that. And then you can also see the SPF, and then there's a DKIM example. So this is just like an example of it. All right, so who is this for? Right now, they're saying it's for bulk senders, 5,000 emails, I think it is a month or something like that. But since spoofing has been so bad, I think it's going to be a standard to have it, a policy of none, and then making sure, they run all the checks and making sure that there's no spoofing going on. And so you also have to prepare for if they're going to be implementing, a policy of quarantine and policy of reject. You can do all that. Right now, the minimum is to have the policy of none. So why is it important? You can read this here. I guess I can go over it. So SPF is basically giving software or ESPs like Klaviyo, Brevo, MailChimp permission to send upon your domain's behalf. It's the same thing with Help Scout. Like if you're running Help Scout, they're also sending out emails via your domain, Shopify, your website on the forums, because anybody can spin up like a WordPress website and say, you know, info@mailchimp.com and then send an email that's who is it from. That's basically a spoof. Like even if your domain is goodcoffee.com and you're sending an email out that says it's from MailChimp.com, it's basically a spoof. And that's the way that this, layer works. And then you have DKIM, which is another layer. You see it provides an encryption key, a digital signature that verifies the email message was not forged or altered. So it works with a public-private key. Some of you are familiar with that. So DKIM holds its private key, and then you have the public key on your DNS. So let me go back here. So here's the key. This is public, and then if it needs to match their private key in order for DKIM to pass. And then DMARC. DMARC is that policy. So policy of none. So DMARC checks these to see if they pass, and then DMARC will say, okay, now we're passing DMARC. So it builds upon the protocols, adding the linkage to the author, domain name, publish policies for recipient handling of authentication failures and reporting from senders. So DMARC also, you can add, go back over here, you can add an email here, and it sends reports. It's in XML format. It's kind of hard to read. So there are software out there. So this one, for example, is ValleyMail, and I'll link it in the description. This pretty much translates that XML file and then gives you an overview look. So this is the DMARC report. If you put an email here, I forgot what setting it is. It's something equals something. I'll put that in the description too. And you can have emails sent to ValleyMail, and then they'll translate it. So here's just an overview of the DMARC report. And you can see you have Google Workspace, which is sending and receiving mail for you. on your domain. So if you have like your name at domain.com using Google Workspace, that's sending out emails. So this is where it kind of gets complicated because you have to get with your IT company or whoever's doing your IT, because I know most of this is like developer or email ESPs, people sending out email, and make sure there's no overlap. Because if you go back over here, there can only be one DMARC record. Sorry, there can only be one SPF record. Um, so if you want to add, so the DMARC record, there's only going to be one. SPF record, there's only going to be one. In order to add, say you want MailChimp, and I don't know what MailChimp's SPF domain is, but if you wanted to add another one, then you do a space here and then put, include colon spf.mailchimp.com or whatever it is, and then you keep adding them. I know there is a limit. I think it's 10 includes. So this is where you know Valley Mail comes in because they put in like variables so you won't go over it. I know this is kind of more complicated, um, but yeah, there's only one here. And then of course your SPF. I don't know which one this examples came from, but every SP or everyone sending out email like Google Workspace, all those ones that you see in that graph or in that chart will have their own CNAME. This is the only exception. There's only going to be one of these for SPF and then one of these for DMARC, but there could be multiple of these because, of course, they have to have their own keys. So, like if you're sending mail out through MailChimp, they're going to give you a key. If you're sending sending and receiving mail through Google Workspace or Microsoft 65, they're going to have their own also. All right, so here is the benefits. Security, of course, deliverability. If Google and Yahoo, know you're passing DMARC, they're going to increase the deliverability reputation. Security, of course, is those layers that we talked about. Your inbox placement for your reputation, and then clarity, meaning when you're getting these reports, you're going to know who's passing or failing. But even these get kind of complicated where you see here aligned but failing DKIM. Some of these are exceptions. I know see the volume really low, but you also have a pass here, which is good. You have a non-aligned SPF, but you also have a pass. No aligned DKIM signatures, but you also have a pass here. So you can see I purposefully haven't set these up yet, so you can see how the reporting comes in. The bulk of it though, and you can see the volume here, these are all passed. That's the one you really want to focus on. You want to make sure those are passing. So for instance, if this one said like 40,000, you want to go ahead and check what's going on. So I'm not surprised why this is barely, or I'm surprised that this is barely coming up, just because of the big spoofing issue that goes on. I'm sure you guys seen this before where you have, a PayPal email and you've been spoofed before, or you really don't trust it. So the spoofed email and the real company email, they look the same, but you're going to notice like in the domain name or uh, now when your DMARC and DKIM and SPF are all implemented, then I'll go over this right now where it's just going to remove it or not send it at all based on your filter. And I'll go over that also. All right, you can see here you have DKIM and SPF, and then DMARC checks for these. So this is like a simplest overview of it. When it comes to DMARC, it's basically just a filter. What do you want to do if this passes? What do you want to do if this fails? Or what do you want to do if both fail? So here's the overview of every path. These are the same, just because when you have a policy of none, it's going to put it in your inbox anyway. And if you have a policy of quarantine and it passes, it's going to go in your inbox. If you have a policy of quarantine, it's going to go to your spam. If you have a policy of reject, it's going to go, or it's going to be returned to sender or discarded. And you'll start to understand this a little bit more here. So go to the SPF. So here's the path for the SPF. you're going to notice that I added an extra P here so that it can fail. And this is the thing that you probably don't notice when you get an email from like a fake PayPal. It's going to have like a PAYYPAL or something like that, just to try to trick you. But with SPF and DKIM, that's all going to go to fail, and then you're going to tell the policy what to do with it. Oops. So this is SPF. It's gonna send through it's gonna come through the incoming server. It's gonna extract the email. It's gonna extract the domain. It's gonna fetch those records, those SPF records, from the DNS. So here's the SPF record, and you can see that SPF.brevo is in place. And then you can see these are examples of the records for SPF. You notice this one has one P, this one has two Ps, and that's why it fails. Is the sender valid or the domain valid? No, so it's going to fail. And then with this one, sender one, it's going to pass because it has permission to send on your behalf. I think that makes a lot more sense. All right, so now next is DKIM. It's just again another layer. You have your real sender and then your fake sender. It's going to sign the DKIM, add the signature, and then the receiving mail server is going to go and extract all that information and the key, and then it's going to validate the header and the record, and then say, okay, was that legit or not? And then that's where it goes to fail or it goes to pass. This one fails because the key does not match. This one passes because it does have a key that does match. And then once those are done, this is where DMARC comes in. You have your good sender and your bad sender, and then it's going to extract all that stuff, and then it's going to check if the domains match, and then does DKIM pass, does SPF pass, and then you can see, where these are aligned or not aligned. And this is what DMARC checks for. All right, so now it gets simpler here. So you can see bad sender, good sender. Right now, this is the minimum requirement, policy of none. This basically does nothing. What I'm trying to say is that when you have a policy of none, it says the filter for DMARC, you're basically saying do nothing. And then for the next one, if you have it set to quarantine, P equals quarantine, it's going to take all the ones that are good and passing and go to the inbox. Those that don't, and the policy is quarantine, it's going to go to your spam junk. And then of course for reject, if they pass, go to your inbox. If the policy is reject, it's going to be returned to sender or discarded. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Everyone's marketing stack is different. So if you have a situation you can share, please put it in the comment. There's some I do have experience with. So like Klaviyo, Workspace, Brevo, ActiveCampaign, Office 365, all that. I may be able to create those situations so that you can understand it more and how that overlap from IT and designers or developers and people sending out email. And then I also have a link in the description if you need me to help you with your email deliverability. And that's it. Please subscribe and like if you think this helped you out, or comment below if you have questions. Thank you.